What is up, everybody? It is Mars with 7. Psych, it's Mars Sports. I always make that mistake, even years later. H1 Marshall. Today, let's destroy this cheat meal. CJ Spencer reference right there, one of my favorite YouTubers. Yeah, but so yesterday, I guess, and today, the SEC permanent rivals were announced and shall I say officially announced, and the schedules for the next few years were announced. Yeah. But yesterday, hold on 1 second. Bye. I'll be on the carpet again. Yes, my dog peed on my carpet for the first time ever. I don't know why I did that, but I was sending a message that I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, but yeah, the SEC permanent opponents were revealed, which is to be the protective rivalries for the next 4 years. Yeah, but we're gonna go over those, and also the schedules for the next 4 years are revealed today as well. Yeah, but there's that. But it's gonna be very interesting to see what we have. Yes, let's do this. So these are based off like strength of schedule, historical stuff, competitiveness, the last few years, and all that. Here you go. This is something that the SEC has been wanting to do for years now, and they finally got to do it. So here you go. Here's your 3. Here's every single fixed rival or protected rival for the next 4 years for each of these teams. So Alabama, we have Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State. I think that's a solid set. Auburn obviously got to keep that. Tennessee has gotten so good over the last few years, like the rivalry. It's gotten so competitive over the last few years, like it's been back and forth over the last like 4 years. So that'll be interesting. Oh, my nose. Sorry. I'm interested. Mississippi State. That's an old rivalry. That comes back. I know they haven't played in a few years, so that was a little bit weird in my opinion, but I think it's valid. I mean, Mississippi State has lost Alabama a lot, but still. Well, the only thing that I find a little weird about this, no LSU, which as an LSU fan, I find that very, very odd. I mean, one hand, we lose to Alabama most of the time, so there's that. But on the other hand, it's gonna feel so wrong not to play Alabama in a year. Well, it's gonna be in 2027. In 2029, we don't play them, but it's gonna feel so wrong when that happens. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Alabama's problems. I think it's just because how competitive it would have been. Yeah, but then you get down to Arkansas. They get Missouri, Texas, and LSU. I think these are all 3 valid rivalries. Missouri, that one, I mean, has become a rivalry over the last few years. They've had some good games in the past. They haven't. That's one of the newer rivalries. It's the not the Border Wars is Missouri KU or Missouri Kansas. It's the battle. What's the rivalry called? It's the Battle Line rivalry. But yeah, there's that. They also get Texas, an old Southwest Conference opponent. Okay. Sorry. Oh, you're supposed to emailing me. Yeah, but I think this is actually gonna be that. I mean, Texas and Arkansas have been rivals for a long time. I mean, obviously they weren't in the same conference for a long time. I mean, because Arkansas has been the SEC, Texas has been the Big 12, but since the Southwest Conference deceased, now that they're both in the same conference, I think that's very awesome how they're going to be rivals with each other each year. So I think that makes a lot of sense for them. Uh, Especially it's rivalry renewed as well. So yeah, at least since last year. Yeah, and in LSU, I mean, that's probably Arkansas's most hated team at this point, especially with Texas not being in the conference for a while. I mean, I think that's actually a valid one because the battle for the boot, and if I and I'm make a prediction. Um, I'm gonna make a prediction that LSU Arkansas is gonna go back to rivalry week next year or start next year. No notification about the schedule. Yahoo Sports. Because my guess, because they're probably gonna move Missouri's, because my guess is they're gonna put Arkansas and LSU on rivalry week, and they're going to put Missouri and Oklahoma on rivalry week. That might have been how it used to be before Mizzou moved on to the Big 12. This dog, bro, what does he want? Don't you have to go to bed? See, literally 5 minutes later, he's back in here. It's fine. I haven't seen him in days, so it's all good. I'm not going to complain. Yeah, but Battle for the Boo, that's be very interesting. Let me see. What is it? What is it? Missouri football schedule. 2010. Very different. So, okay, what did you want to be in here for? You're not going to pee in here again. No, you're not peeing in here again. Let's see. No, the last one was Kansas, but I think, which makes sense, honestly. Yeah. What is he doing? Don't you have somewhere to be? You came in here just to leave again? Okay, homie. Came in here for absolutely no reason. So I'm checking Mizzou. Did they play Oklahoma? No. Yeah, but I think Missouri, Oklahoma. I feel like this is gonna happen because LSU has been playing Oklahoma in rivalry for last year and this year as well. That's gonna be a great game too. If both those teams are still really good by then, which I assume they will. Yeah, but what is it? But I'll tell you what. Um, why am my phone buzzing so much? Yeah. By the way, the order of the set is not get revealed. That's why I'm predicting. That's part of the reason I'm predicting this. It's like if Mizzou plays Arkansas, LSU doesn't play Oklahoma every year. That's not one of their protected rivalries, obviously. So my guess are for statistical purposes, they're gonna have to move. They're gonna move LSU Arkansas back to rivalry week. That's where it used to be, so it'll make a lot of sense. And then put Oklahoma Missouri in rivalry week because they are pre-existing rivals before they were in the SEC, of course, with each other. They were in the Big 12 and all that. Yeah, I guess you go as far as the Big 8. Yeah, but Because by the way, Missouri and OU are protected rivalry, an annual rivalry. So yeah, but it's just makes and they're probably not to move Missouri Arkansas probably to a more midseason rivalry because like that's probably one of the easiest to move anyway. Because yes, it's Robert's been on rivalry week for the last few years. It's not the most historical rivalry, and I think they can move around with it. It's kind of like how they moved A&M and LSU's rivalry out of the rivalry. But now, obviously, that was because Texas was coming to the conference, and Texas A&M makes way more sense for that slot. But yeah, there's that. Anyways, moving on. Auburn. By the way, I think Arkansas's protected rivals. That's a tough draw. I'll tell you what. I got Auburn, who obviously has Alabama, and Georgia and Vandy. This might be the toughest draw, arguably the toughest draw. You get Alabama. Sorry. You get Alabama. Obviously, it's Iron Bowl, arguably the most iconic rivalry in college football. And then you also get Georgia, Deep South's oldest rivalry. That's a great one too. I mean, Alabama and Georgia. Oh my God, they're cooked. And then you get Vanderbilt, which Vandy has been rising over the last few years, especially Diego Pavia and Clark Lee and Eli Stowers. They've been really good the last few years. So that's not a gimme at this point. I mean, Vandy, I think, may or may not be a playoff team this year. So just saying. Yes, that's very weird to say, but yeah. Auburn might have the toughest draw of anyone. You have Florida, who has Georgia, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Georgia one makes sense. I mean, they already plan neutral site locations for the next few years with the Jacksonville Stadium under construction. Next year it's supposed to be in Atlanta. Then the next year it's supposed to be in Tampa Bay, and then I think where's the next one supposed to be? Obviously, that was kind of like a given at that point. Plus one of the biggest rivalries in the SEC. Florida schedule. I go on FBSschedules.com, by the way, so I can look at all this. Where's our 2028 location? What does it say on here? I guess it's going to be back in Jacksonville at that point. Yeah, I have to cancel a few opponents at this point. Why is my mom calling? Hello.
Hey, there's rain off the distance, so if you want to put your hair cover on, you do it now. Dad said he'd help you if you need help.
Okay.
All right, so come on out.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
I'll be right back. I got to put my hail cover in my car because it's about to start raining. And the weather is not very good in Texas at points. But we're just remind me, chat. We're stopped on Florida. Here, I'll put Florida in the chat. All right, just put that. So I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Just there's a chance of rain tonight, so chance of a decent amount of rain tonight. So put the hail cover in my car. But yeah. Anyways, Florida, Georgia, I mean neutral location, so I've had that planned out for the last few years. So that's kind of a given at that point. So, South Carolina, that one makes sense too. I mean, there that's a classic SEC East rivalry. Yes, I know they didn't play each other last year. I don't think they're playing each other this year either. Well, obviously that same response from last year for everyone, but yeah. But that'd be interesting to see that one. That'd be awesome. Then Kentucky's a good one too. I mean, they usually play each other, and that's a long historic rivalry. So it's a great one for Florida as well. I'm not too shocked to not see LSU on here because I know people are talking about like they're not playing LSU. That one doesn't shock me too much. I mean, it's more. I will say LSU Florida is more historic than LSU A&M, but we'll admit that rivalry's been a lot more lopsided by you know who LSU. Yeah, there's that compared to A&M, which we'll get to in a bit. Whenever we get to LSU and A&M. Moving on to Georgia, they have Auburn, Florida, and South Carolina. Part of me wanted to see Alabama, but I know that's not really much of a rivalry compared to the others. But Auburn, that's a great one. Obviously, we talked about Deep South South rivalry. I think Georgia, I know Georgia's been dominating that one over the last few years, but that's still a great one. And the Florida one we talked about. South Carolina, that's another East one that they're bringing back. I know they haven't had the last few years, so that'd be awesome to see that rivalry back. And see how good Georgia's been. I mean, it was South Carolina's been last year. Yes, I know probably not as good this year, but still. I think in a good year for South Carolina, that could be a really competitive game. And then we have Kentucky. They get Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Yes, we're just speed running through South Carolina. I think Florida's a good one, like we said, historic rivalry. Tennessee's also a good one. I mean, they play each other every year. That's one of those East rivalries, and that's a great one as well. And South Carolina, I know Kentucky hasn't been as good the last few years, but still. And then South Carolina's also a great one too. Um, I mean, they play each other every year. I mean, I know they've been playing. I mean, when's the last time they did play each other? I guess when South Carolina was in the ACC. Yeah, that's a great one as well. Um, by the way, in case you're wondering, this does not involve out of conference rivalry. So this does not involve Georgia Tech, Louisville, Kentucky, Clemson, South Carolina. Who's the other one? What is another one? Weird sound from my dog. Oh, Florida State. That's the other one. Yeah, those are obviously good for at least for the next few years. Probably for a long time as well. I mean, they played each other every year for a long time. This is not because these are just the SEC, and I know obviously all those teams in the ACC. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I think good job for. I mean, Kentucky had a relatively tough job. I think that's still like Tennessee, South Carolina might be tough, and Florida as well. Now let's move on to LSU, my favorite team. I could give a lot of great analysis on this one because I am an LSU fan. So our protected rivalries are with Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. I think these are all valid rivalries. The one thing that's tripping me up, no Alabama. Like I said, that's gonna be so weird to not see LSU Alabama play 1 year. We'll go over to some of the schedules later, but oh, man, that's gonna be crazy. But I mean, to be fair, they're trying to probably give us a break because we would have gotten. My prediction was Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. But that was gonna be way too tough of a draw. I feel like for us, yeah. But hey, we still play them every other year. By the way, all these opponents are playing every other year at least. They're not protected. So yeah, like everyone will be playing each other. Like Alabama, Missouri will play each other. Arkansas, Tennessee will be playing each other. Texas and Auburn will be playing each other. All that. That'd be really fun. I think this is a much better scheduling tactic, in my opinion, because I feel like the last one kind of sucked. It's like we haven't hosted Kentucky in forever, and we also haven't been to Athens in forever. So yeah, there's that. But LSU, I think these are all valid rivalries. Arkansas battle for the boot. I think this one makes sense because it's also a rivalry week too. Like I said, I think that's part of what's going in. Plus, Arkansas really wanted to play LSU. I think that's valid. I mean, that's a big rivalry. I will say. I mean, yes, LSU's owned it the last few years, but they've had some great games in the past. Like, of course, 2007, Arkansas beat them in triple overtime the year LSU won the national championship. So yeah, but there's that. There's been some crazy moments in that rivalry. So I think there's a valid one. Plus, if it has a trophy, it's obviously a big rivalry. So yeah. Then for Ole Miss, I think this one's a great one to protect as well. The Magnolia Bowl, of course, this is of course, they're playing each other this weekend, so that'll be really fun. Yeah, but what is it? And this one's a really historic one too. LSU's has pretty much, although LSU has owned this for most part over the last few years, but for in the recent decade and all, the recent few decades, but over the last few years since Lane Kiffin arrived to Ole Miss, it's been very fun. It's been more back and forth at points. Like we'll see what happens this weekend, obviously, but I think this is a great rivalry. The Magnolia Bowl is always a really really fun game. So yeah, I mean we've had some crazy matchups. Like last year was absolutely crazy. That 2023 matchup where none of the defenses showed up that day. That was a duel. That was a duel between Jackson Dart and Jay Daniels. It's an amazing rivalry. I'm glad that one's sticking around. I think that makes a lot of sense too. And then Texas A&M, one of the more newer rivalries, although they already played each other a lot before they joined the SEC. Like literally, Texas A&M's last game as a Big 12 team was against LSU in the Cotton Bowl. So yeah, but I think this one's definitely been one that's emerged over the last few years. Ever since that 7 overtime game in 2018. That was a painful game to watch, by the way, as an LSU fan. If it wasn't for Kellen Mond's knee down, who knows if this would actually be a bigger rivalry. But this one's been back and forth over the last few years. Like, think about it. Like 2008, 2017 was LSU, 2018 A&M, 2019 LSU. Obviously, that was the year they won the national championship. 2020 was Texas A&M. 2021 was LSU and A&M when they beat A&M the same year. That was Ed Orgeron's final win. I remember. 2022, A&M won, and they've spoiled LSU's potential playoff chance that year. I don't think we're making the playoffs. So the only way we would make the playoffs is if I think the only way we would have made it if TCU choked, but and we would have won the SEC. That would be like the only way we made the playoffs that year. And then what is it? And yeah, what is it? And then 2023 it was LSU. And 2024 it was Texas A&M that back in where they made that huge comeback. Marcel Reed. Now obviously it's being hosted this year by LSU. So because basically whoever hosts wins it. Seems like shoot, my computer's glitching. Yeah. Sorry guys, my computer's glitching. Yeah. Sorry guys, my computer's glitching. Yeah. Sorry guys. What the heck is going on? They just take on the reins of my old computer and start just to be really slow. Okay, there we go. Still not great. Okay. Why is it still doing this? Okay. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. My computer's had a stroke for a second. Yeah. But it's been it's been a crazy rivalry. Might be one of the most back and forth rivalries in college football, and one of the most underrated rivalries in college football, in my opinion. So I feel like when they originally got placed in rivalry week, uh, it was kind of random, just because like that was when A&M and Missouri entered the conference. Originally, it was A&M Missouri was the rivalry week, but then they moved it around and all that. But then, of course, Texas joined the conference and gave them A&M to play the rivalry week, and gave us OU, which is not going to last for more than 2 years. So yeah, wow, this rivalry started in 1899. That's crazy. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see who. Legit. It's a back and forth. Hold up. Like, there's no one's getting able to get a consistent streak on this rivalry. It's crazy. Hold on. Let me just share my tab real quick. Because you might be a little confused at A&M. This is, which I will admit, not as like, I feel like Florida's more historic at this point, but this one's still pretty historic though. Like, look at this. Like, look at look at 2017 on down. LSU, A&M, LSU, A&M, LSU, A&M, LSU, A&M. Last time someone, the last time one of these teams won this game on the road was 2016 when LSU won it in Kyle Field. Yeah, this is the game that really jumped. This is the game that really elevated the rivalry right here, the 2018 one. Yeah, just saying, no one's been able to get a consistent grip on this rivalry, which makes it even crazier. So yeah, because I think that's a great one to have, honestly. It may not be as historic to LSU as like Alabama, obviously, and Florida. I still think it's a great one to have. Plus, A&M has become a big rival at LSU since they joined the conference. Even bigger rival since they joined the conference. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Mississippi State has Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. Ole Miss, I mean, obviously, got to keep that one. It's the Egg Bowl. You can't. That one's non-negotiable at that point. Vandy, kind of random, but I think that would be an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, yes, they're two lower tier programs in the SEC. At least over the last few years. Yeah, Vandy's gotten better, but still. You got Alabama, which I mean, that might be interesting. They've been rivals over the last years. I know they haven't played each other in a while, but I think they'll still be a great rivalry. Missouri, Missouri has Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. Arkansas, that's the battle line rivalry. And I don't think don't think it's being rivalry week anymore. Obviously it's one to keep. A&M's one I found kind of random, but I think it makes sense. I mean, I think both these teams were in the Big 12 with each other at one point, and then they both moved to the SEC together. So I think it actually makes a decent amount of sense to put them together. I mean, I would probably like to see A&M get Arkansas over Missouri, but that's fair. I mean, we'll get to Texas A&M's rivalries in a bit. And then Oklahoma, that one makes a lot of sense because one, Oklahoma doesn't really have many teams that are their rivals with in the SEC so far, and two, that they were big rivals in the Big 12. So I think it makes a lot of sense that they're with each other. Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, how that's probably moved the rivalry week. Yeah. Now speaking of Oklahoma, we have Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Obviously, Missouri. We just talked about that one. The Red River rivalry, that one's non-negotiable. I mean, you have to keep that one. I mean, they already scheduled matchups for the last few years, even without releasing the SEC conference schedule. But the one that's a little weird is Ole Miss. But to be fair, they didn't really have many options for Oklahoma. It's probably the toughest one to decide because yes, you had two a fine actual rivalry, the rivalry because yes, you had Missouri and Texas, obviously that they're rivals with already. And then they had the Ole Miss. Ole Miss is one. I think that could be good. I think that has potential to be a really good rivalry. We'll see though. I remember the original report was suggesting Florida. I think this one's better, in my opinion. But yeah, because when they originally considered this, that's what the reports were leaning towards. But yeah, you see on Ole Miss, they have Mississippi State, LSU, and Oklahoma. We talked about all three of these. Obviously, Egg Bowl, got to keep that one. Uh, Magnolia Bowl, that one's a great one as well, obviously. Yeah, the one with Oklahoma, that's Oklahoma to find someone. Let's be real. South Carolina, they have Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. We talked about all these already, but Georgia, Georgia. I mean, that one obviously we talked about. Florida, that one's good. And Kentucky, all big. I almost said Big East, which big SEC East. A Big East would have been misleading, but yeah. Now you have Tennessee. This one's the one that weirds me out the most. They get Alabama, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. Alabama is one, obviously, that's gotten really good over the last few years. I think that third Saturday in October. That's an amazing rivalry. Kentucky's a good one too. I mean, they've played each other. They've they've been they've been fierce rivals with each other for a while. And then Vandy, obviously, that's rivalry week one. Yeah, that and also in-state matchup. Yeah, but the one that weirds me out, Tennessee, they didn't get Georgia or Florida, which really obviously had to keep them. But I want to consider Vandy, Kentucky's rivalries with Tennessee bigger than Florida's and Georgia's. But I get it. I mean, obviously I keep Vandy because that's rivalry week. Um, Kentucky, that one's. I mean, that one. I guess Kentucky didn't have as many options. I mean, I guess Georgia could have been one, but yeah. But I would like to see either Florida or Georgia win that get back. I mean, it's supposed to see that still, but yeah. But it's just I know Georgia's owned that rivalry, but like it's gotten super competitive the last few years. And Florida's always been competitive, man, no matter how good or bad they are. But I think that's a decent set of rivalries. I mean, it's not the most exciting, but it's like for like a casual viewer, but like for Tennessee fans, they've got to be at least feeling a little relieved that they're not playing Florida or Georgia, at least Georgia. But at the same time, it does kind of break tradition. Yeah. But I mean, there's just so many options for Tennessee. Texas, this one was probably the most obvious one of any of them. Texas A&M, Arkansas, and OU. A&M's that one's obviously they're gonna play. Obviously, that's one of the more bitter rivalries in college football. Obviously, that one got revived last year. OU, like I said, non-negotiable. You cannot take that rivalry away from them. College football will not be the same without those two playing each other. Arkansas, that one's also a great one. That's a great Southwest Conference rivalry. That one also got renewed last year, so I think that'd be great to see. Yeah. Um, then we have Texas A&M, who has the exact same ones as Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, and LSU. This one's a tough one too. LSU, I mean, obviously, like I said, that one's been a more underrated rivalry in college football. It's been back and forth over the last few years. Like I said, I went over that earlier. Um, Missouri, that one's like I said, that one's an interesting one. I mean, they're in the Big 12 together, so I guess it kind of makes sense. And then Texas, that obviously you cannot take that one away when they're in the same conference. But the one that's a little shocking is that Arkansas is not on here. But I mean, I understand that the options, but like they played on a neutral site location forever now. Yes, they're playing. Yes, it's actually hosted in Arkansas. It's gonna be Arkansas this year, but still, that one's a little weird. How they keep that one considering like the Southwest ties, but I get it. Yeah, and then Vanderbilt gets Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. I think of any of them, that might be I don't know if the easiest draw. That was one of the easier draws in my opinion. Like the lighter draws. I mean, not no disrespect. Like Mississippi, like they've all had years. Auburn's been decent this year. I think that one's a good one. So that one's actually even. Like they're 2020 or it's 22, 22 and 1. That rivalry. Tennessee obviously got to keep that one because it's rivalry week. And Mississippi State. I mean, I'm kind of a random one, but I think that one would be interesting. Yeah. There you go. I think the overall the annual opponents are good. I mean, yes, there's some rivalries that we're not going to see every year, like LSU Alabama, LSU Florida, Tennessee Florida, Tennessee Georgia. Yes, I get that, but I think or Texas A&M Arkansas. But I mean, you can't make everyone. You can't get every rivalry in there. That'd be a lot. But hey, it's better than whatever the Big 12 has because the Big 12's protected rivalry system, low key kind of sucks. It's because there's only 4 protected rivalries in the whole conference. And yes, that one's harder to deal with because there's so much new in the Big 12. Like half the teams weren't even in the Big 12 a few years ago. But like Big 12 protected rivalries. Overload, okay. But like they only have 4 protected rivalries, and it's Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, TCU, BYU, Utah, and Kansas State. All very valid rivalries, obviously. I mean, those are all great rivalries, but I wish the Big 12 would have put in more protected rivalries. But I get it's hard at that point because it's not like the SEC where there's 2 new teams, but like rather than 2 new teams, it's 8 new teams. But yeah. But like some rivalries in the Big 12, like Farmageddon, we won't get to see every year. Uh, the battle for the saddle, TCU versus Texas Tech, we won't get to see either. By Farmageddon's Iowa State, Kansas State, or like I don't know what else. The butt rivalry, Baylor versus Texas Tech. That one we won't get to see every year. And then what else? Yeah, that's pretty much some. That's some of them. Yeah, that one's hard to deal with, to be fair, because brand new stuff there. But yeah, the SEC, I think they did pretty well with this. I mean, yes, there's some I would have liked to see. There's some rivalries I would like to see every year, but it's not. It's all good. Anyways, SEC futures football schedules. I don't know. I thought they were just announcing next year's, but they announced all of them for the next 4 years. Yeah, that's good with me. Anyways, yeah, here you go. Yeah, this was announced tonight on SEC Now. Yeah, here you go. Just go by teams. So Alabama. So here's what theirs is looking like. They get Auburn, Georgia, South Carolina. By the way, this is not in the order they're playing them in. Obviously, like Alabama's not playing Texas in the final week. Yeah, but next year Alabama's hosting Auburn, Georgia, South Carolina, and Texas A&M. And then their away games are Mississippi State at Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, and Vanderbilt. So yes, you will get Alabama, LSU next year at least. But I think for that one, that's a decent draw. I mean, the toughest ones on here are probably on the road to Tennessee. Obviously, hosting Georgia is going to be tough. That we could see that one again. That'd be nice. South Carolina might be decently tough if South Carolina's still good by then. And hosting A&M, that'd be interesting. And obviously, and tough and LSU on the road LSU is usually tough for them. Although sometimes they handle LSU pretty well. Obviously, Auburn is going to be tough every time. Yeah. And hey, Vandy's on here on the road, so you never know about that one. Then 2027, they're hosting Mississippi State, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, and Texas. And then they're going to be on the road to Auburn, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. I feel like the toughest ones in here, obviously, Auburn's always tough. Tennessee's going to be tough. Texas hosting is going to be tough. And then on the road to Ole Miss and on the road to Oklahoma, of course, they got manhandled by Oklahoma last year. Thank you. By the way, thank you, Oklahoma. That's the best contribution they've made to the SEC so far, beating Alabama. And not just that, obliterating them, yeah. There's that, and then 28-8, 29 is just the same opponents from it's every other year you get the same opponents, just reverse. It's just mirror where you play them. Like 2028 they'll host Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, Vanderbilt. Then they'll play Mississippi State, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Texas A&M on the road. And in 2029, they'll go on the road to to Auburn, Florida, Missouri, and Texas. They get to host Mississippi State, Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. So there you go. Now we move on to Arkansas. Arkansas next year will be hosting LSU, Missouri, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Meanwhile, they'll be on the road to Texas, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. Toughest ones there. Obviously, hosting LSU is going to be tough. Missouri is going to be tough. I think they're hosting Missouri 2 years in a row, actually. Where's that game? Because some of the scheduling metrics get some of these teams to host their rivals 2 years in a row, which is very odd. But I mean, if that's your team, you might as well take it at that point. Arkansas, Arkansas or Arkansas, as we call it around here. Yeah, they get to host Missouri 2 years in a row. That'd be interesting. On the road to Texas can be tough. I believe Texas is hosting them twice in a row as well. So they get to host Missouri twice in a row, but they have to go on the road to Texas 2 years in a row. Then hosting Georgia and South Carolina, Tennessee is going to be tough. They have a lot. Their home game slate is really tough. LSU, Missouri, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Dang. And then Auburn. And then what is it? Texas A&M. They get to play at A&M at A&M for the first time in a long time. So that'd be interesting. Yeah, there's that. Did there used to be another location before them? Yeah. And then, of course, Vandy's going to be tough. I guess I mean, they got kind of a tough schedule that year. And in 27, they get to go on the road to LSU, Missouri, Florida, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, they get to host Texas, Alabama, Kentucky, Ole Miss, all that. Toughest ones there, obviously. LSU, Missouri is going to be tough, especially on the road. Oklahoma's going to be interesting. I mean, they haven't played each other yet since they joined the SEC. So that's one that we haven't seen yet. I mean, well, I guess they technically used to be in the Southwest together. Because I remember Oklahoma State used to be in the Southwest a long time ago. I thought it was around for it, yeah. But they host Texas and Alabama. That's going to be tough. And Ole Miss, too. Yeah. There's that. And then 28, like I said, slipped around things. 28, they host LSU, Missouri, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. And then on the road to Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. 2029. Bro. Aisha said he'll play copyrighted songs if I don't stop. Bruh. Anyways, 2029, hosting LSU, or go on the road to LSU, Missouri, Alabama, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. And then they host Texas, Florida, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. So, yeah. Moving on. Now we have Auburn. Auburn gets the host Vandy, Arkansas, Florida, LSU, and then on the road to Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. Definitely. Well, say Vandy's been tough on them. I'd say all these are pretty. This is actually a pretty tough schedule. I'll say. I mean, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee, and Ole Miss. That's going to be really tough in the next year. Yeah, okay. But for them, they get to host LSU, so that'll be interesting. That's usually a great game at Jordan Hare. I mean, I know they haven't played each other as much, but I mean, they haven't played each other since 2023, but still, very tough game for them. Got a lot of tough games on here. I mean, too, that's what happens when Alabama and Georgia are on your onward schedule every year. And then 2027, on the road to Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas. You know, they host Bama, Georgia, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. So maybe they'll get revenge on Oklahoma from the ref stuff. So yeah, there's that. And I'm not going to go over all the toughest opponents because, yeah. In 2028, they host Vandy, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. On the road to Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Florida, and LSU. I mean, first time LSU hosted Auburn, and since in 5 years at that point. In 2029, it'll on the road to Vandy, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. I'm gonna set up because I sound like I'm about to choke on something. Okay, there we go. They get to host Bama, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas. So yeah, Texas Auburn's gonna be very interesting. Yeah. I'll move Florida, Georgia from the chat. Message retracted. Yeah, that's right. I deleted my own message. Now we have Florida. Florida. So Florida, they get to host. So 2026, they get to host South Carolina, Ole Miss, Vandy, and Oklahoma. When they go on the road to Kentucky, Auburn, Missouri, and Texas, and basically the Georgia one's a home game or it is an away game next year. It's kind of like what Florida State and LSU did. They played one match in New Orleans. And then they played one in Orlando. That's what they're doing next year is because Jacksonville Stadium's going to renovation. So, and Georgia's obviously a neutral site technically. So yeah. Then 2027, they'll be at South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. And then they'll get to host Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, and A&M. And they'll go on the road, and it'll be a neutral site game against Georgia at Tampa. And then 2028, yeah, you're hosting South Carolina, Auburn, Missouri, and Texas. Well, they get to go on the road to Kentucky, Ole Miss, Vandy, and Oklahoma, and they play Georgia. That's when that game will be back in Jacksonville because the renovations will be done and a brand new, newly renovated stadium at that point. And then 2029, on the road to South Carolina, Arkansas, LSU, and Texas A&M. Get to host Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Tennessee, and then Georgia, Jacksonville. So yeah, there you go. So those their schedule. Let's see next year's. I mean, honestly, well, they still got a decently tough schedule. I mean, they get on the road Texas, all that. I guess the road games are pretty interesting. Yeah, there's that. Then moving on to Georgia. Georgia's had a tough schedule the last few years, that's for sure. Florida, and Oklahoma have had the toughest schedules in the SEC the last few years, I will say. Georgia, they host Auburn, Missouri, Vandy, and OU. And then they go on the road, South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and then play Florida and Atlanta, like we're talking about just now. So let's see. They play on Alabama on the road. It's gonna be the toughest game on here. And then 2027, they're on the road to Auburn, Kentucky, Texas, and Texas A&M. So you get to go to Texas twice. Well, to stay at Texas twice. Then they host South Carolina, LSU, which I believe that's the first time they're hosting LSU in a long time. And Mississippi State and Tennessee, and then they go and then they of course play Florida that year in Tampa. Maybe me and Wafik should do a live reaction stream to that game when we play them. Because what's crazy, we haven't played a regular season game against Georgia since 2018. We actually beat them that year. It was at Death Valley as well. Yeah, last time we played each other was in the SEC Championship a few years ago when Georgia smacked us. I mean, wasn't TCU level smacked, but still. Still got beat up 50-34 for some of those weird stuff. We could have at least had a chance in that game. Yeah, if the 12-team playoffs were around, maybe we would have made it that year. If we would have beat Georgia, yeah, we would have made that year. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't think they've hosted. I don't think. Yeah, but that would mean that would mean they would literally go like 9 years without playing each other in the regular season, and they haven't played each other in Athens in a long time. It's been forever since that's happened. Like they haven't played each other in Athens since I started watching. And by the way, also another thing, despite being the conference for 16 years at that point, this will actually be the first time in 2027. This will actually be the first time Georgia goes on the road to Texas A&M. Like that's their first time ever at Kyle Field. That's gonna be crazy, bro. That's crazy that they haven't played each other there yet, and yet they've been in the same conference for over a decade now. It's just that SEC scheduling was not great, honestly. This is a way better scheduling model, in my opinion. The last few years, you had that weird. I think it was just a bridge in between. Like they weren't ready to go to 9 conference, but like they didn't. They wanted to get out of division still. But yeah. 2028, they host Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. And then they're on the road to South Carolina, Missouri, Vandy, and Oklahoma. And then they're playing Florida and Jacksonville. And then 2029, they're on the road to Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. And then they'll be hosting South Carolina, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Texas. And then they also play Florida at Jacksonville that year. Now we got Kentucky. Good old Kentucky. As they get to host Florida, Alabama, LSU, Vandy, Florida, Alabama, LSU, and Vandy next year. So I guess we're going on the road to Kentucky next year. And then they'll be on the road to South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. That's a tough draw to go on the road for. That's for sure. So Kentucky, that's a tough schedule next year. That's for sure. And in 2027, they'll be on the road. They'll be on the road to Florida, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas. Meanwhile, they'll be hosting South Carolina, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, and Mississippi State. There's that. In 2028, they'll be hosting Florida, Missouri, A&M, and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, they'll be on the road to South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, and Vanderbilt. Wow, this is the first time Kentucky's going to Death Valley in a long time. I think like 2011 or something like that. I don't know, something. It's been a long time since they've been to Death Valley. That's for sure. Because so watching, we haven't played Kentucky once at Death Valley. Every time we play them, it's been at Kroger Field. Yeah. And then 2029, they're on the road to Florida, Auburn, Georgia, and Mississippi State. Meanwhile, they're hosting South Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas. So that'll be interesting. Texas, Kentucky can be interesting. That's for sure. Now we have my favorite team, LSU, the one I was most anticipating for when I was watching the show tonight. But here we go. LSU. LSU next year will be hosting Texas A&M for the second year in a row, by the way, which is huge with that rivalry. Alabama, Mississippi State, and Texas. And then we'll be playing. And then we'll be playing on the road. We'll play Arkansas, and then on the road we play Arkansas, Ole Miss for the second year in a row. We'll be on the road to Ole Miss, so I guess we get A&M 2 years in a row at home, but then we get Ole Miss 2 years in a row away, which kind of is a little weird. And then also played Auburn on the road, and in Kentucky and Tennessee. So it's gonna be a tough schedule next year. I mean, hosting A&M is gonna be interesting. I mean, what is it? So on the road to Ole Miss for the second year in a row. It's going to be very odd. Alabama's going to be tough. I mean, at least we get to play them next year still. We get to revive our rivalry with Mississippi State. Obviously, Arkansas on the road was never a guaranteed win. Hosting Texas, oh man, that's going to be absolute cinema. They're finally paying back our. They're finally giving us our return game, because they were supposed to come play us in Death Valley in 2020, but obviously that didn't happen because of COVID. Because we played them in 2019 when in Austin, so we finally get to return the favor. And then Auburn and the rivalry with the Tiger Bowl's back with Auburn on the road. That's gonna be an interesting game. On the road, Kentucky could be interesting. I will say. Last time that was 2021, and Kentucky beat them that year. But LSU was very mid that year, to be fair. Then on the road to Tennessee is gonna be a really tough game. I don't even know the last time we played Tennessee. It was like 2017 or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, there's that. And then that's gonna be an interesting schedule next year. I'm excited. And of course, we're hosting Clemson, and we're playing McNeese State as well. So we have one more opponent, which is probably some random USA team type of thing. I'll predict it's gonna be Louisiana Monroe. I don't know. And then 2027, we go on the road to Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. That's a tough road slate, if anything. But we get to host Arkansas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. So that'll be an interesting set of games right there. Um, it's just so weird not seeing Alabama on there. 2028, we're hosting A&M, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And hopefully it doesn't go as bad as last time we hosted Tennessee. Meanwhile, we're on the road. We're playing Arkansas, Ole Miss, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Texas. So that's a tough road slate right there, bro. If we play Texas at night, oh my god, that's gonna be absolute cinema. Like that's gonna be amazing. Texas, LSU, Texas at night in Death Valley under the lights. It's gonna be amazing. I hope that comes true, and hopefully we win as well. And I guess I'll be able to officially do this. Sorry. And then 2029 we're on the road A&M, Missouri, Vandy, and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, so I believe that's very similar to our road slate that or two of those we're already playing on the road this year, Vandy and OU. Then we're hosting Arkansas, Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. So yeah, we get to host Georgia too. Oh man, that's gonna be great. Under the lights as well. It'd be awesome as well. SEC at night SEC at night. LSU at night just hit. LSU home games at night just hit different. That's for sure. Especially with a light show now. Yeah, it's amazing. Now we get Ole Miss or Ole Piss, shall I say? As next year they get to host LSU again. They also host Mississippi State, Auburn, Georgia, and Missouri. So interesting home slate, and then their away games will be against their new protected rival, OU, Florida, Vandy, and Texas. So that's gonna be an interesting slate. Ole Miss, Texas is gonna be a great matchup. Is that reading something? Sorry, I got lost. Okay. Um, Let me restart. Sorry, I just got lost. LSU, Mississippi State, Auburn, Georgia, Missouri. They're hosting, and then away games are Oklahoma, Florida, Vandy, Texas. Oh, yeah, I was saying Texas would be a great matchup. Almost Texas. Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. That'll be interesting. And then 2027, they're on the road to LSU, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. While they're hosting Oklahoma, Alabama, Kentucky, and South Carolina. So we get to Alabama to play Alabama again. That'd be nice. Twenty 28, they're hosting LSU, Mississippi State, Florida, Vandy, and Texas. Well, they're on the road to Oklahoma, Auburn, Georgia, and Missouri. So, yeah. And then 2029, they're on the road to LSU, Mississippi State, Alabama, Kentucky, and South Carolina. Meanwhile, they're hosting Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. So there you go for Ole Miss. Yeah, that'd be interesting for them. That's for sure. I think Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, man, they've been great. That's for sure. Now we have Mississippi State as next year. Will be hosting Alabama, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Missouri, and Oklahoma. You know, they're on the road to Ole Miss, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas. So that's a tough road slate, man. That's a really tough road slate. Ole Miss, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas. Oh my god, bro, they're cooked. 2027, they're on the road to. Oh, by the way, when they play LSU, Michael Van Buren might be the starting quarter. If assuming, assuming he doesn't transfer. I mean, he might transfer. Obviously, who knows? Like these days, college football. Michael Van Buren's going to be might be the starting quarterback for LSU by then. So that'd be very interesting to see him play Michael Van Buren's old team. So yeah. As yes, y'all didn't know, Michael Van Buren is the backup quarterback for LSU now. He was transferred from Mississippi State. Yeah, he looked good in that Southeast Louisiana game. So yeah. And Nussmeier will probably be gone by then. Well, he will. I think this is his last year eligibility anyway. So yeah. And then let's see Diego Pavia then just gets the next year of eligibility handed to him. In 2027, they go on the road to Bama, Vandy, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And then they host Ole Miss, Arkansas, Florida, and A&M. And then 2028, they host Bama, Vandy, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas. And then they go on the road to Ole Miss, Auburn, Missouri, and Oklahoma. And then 2029, they go on the road to Bama, Vandy, Arkansas, Florida, and A&M. Now they get to host Ole Miss, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So definitely some interesting stuff there for Mississippi State. Now, who knows how they're going to do? I mean, they're already a better team than they were last year. So, yeah, it can't get worse than 2024. That's for sure. That's for them. Oh, this is blinding the screen. Missouri's color, bro. Missouri. In 2026, they get to host A&M, Oklahoma, Florida, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Not Tennessee, Texas. Sorry. They get to go on the road to Arkansas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It'll be cool to see them play Texas again. It's the first time in a long time since they're in the same conference with each other back in the day. Yeah. And in 2027, they're on the road to Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, and South Carolina. While they're hosting Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. And then 2028, they're hosting A&M, OU, as well as they're hosting OU and Texas in the same year. It's kind of like a Big 12 schedule if you think about Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. Sounds like the Big 12 to me back in the day. Let's get out of Nebraska and it's all set. In 2028, you're hosting A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Georgia, and Mississippi State. They're on the road to Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, and Texas. Yeah, 2029, they'll be on the road to Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Auburn, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. They'll be hosting Arkansas, Alabama, LSU, and South Carolina. So, yeah. Now, moving on to why is this thing keep on glitching on me? There we go. And still glitching. Okay. All right, Oklahoma. They'll be hosting Ole Miss. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I just started glitching when I start talking about Oklahoma. I just start glitching. It's like actually Oklahoma's not a real SEC team, but well, they're a real SEC. Is this working? All right, let's try this again. Let's talk about Oklahoma again. What is? Yeah. Hello. Hello. The heck? Oh. Hello. The heck? Sorry, my phone's acting up.
Not taking my calls anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, my phone was acting weird. So, what were you saying?
I called Dad. Dad was in airplane mode. It was going to take voicemail. Then I call you and it goes, call failed. I'm like, nobody wants to talk to me.
Right.
I was saying you should go shower
Okay.
if you want to have any TV time with us.
Okay.
All right, make sure you have a towel.
All right.
I love you.
Love you too. What is wrong with this thing? Okay. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. Let's talk about Oklahoma again. It's like that one movie. It goes like again. Okay, and it's blocked out. Great. Like that one movie. It goes like again. It was Miracle on Ice. That's what it was. All right, let's do this. So start off. So sorry, it's so laggy.